This is the Makita Maktrak. This is synonymously known as one of the worst modular toolboxes on the market. It's janky, it doesn't clip together very well, and although I love Makita, the Toolbox has always let them down. But Makita have finally done something, and they've upgraded it in a big way. From this, the new janky box, to the new Maktrak system, which is on a totally different level. Hey guys, Jonah here, and we've got the brand new Makita Maktrak right here in the UK. It's the very first one. I've had this on pre-order for a couple of weeks, so we've bought and paid for this system to give it an independent review right here in the UK, and I'll tell you from the offset, this system, although it looks amazing, has been a bit of a letdown. It's not lived up to my expectation. I've only had it a day, and I'm disappointed, to say the least. There are some great features, there's some positives, there's some design choices that are different and out there. They have tried to offer something different, and we can get into that in this video. And on that note, this won't be the only Maktrak video on this channel. We're gonna do some full comparisons and matchups to the other systems available. So the Milwaukee Packout, the DeWalt DXL, which is a strong contender for this box. All of those videos are coming very soon, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you don't miss those future videos. But before I tell you why this is a bit of a disappointment and what I'd call the critical flaws of this system, I think it's best to start with the positives. There are some amazing features and some standout features we can get into, and a few things that I think are particularly good. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
So let's get into the positives, and there are a lot of features, a lot of things to talk about, to be fair. We'll start with the basics. It's a polypropylene toolbox. It's made out of tough stuff. All of the tops are polycarbonate, so again, all the best toolboxes are made of those materials, essentially. They're made in the USA, which is, you know, it can only be a good thing. Not many other toolboxes are made in the USA, I can tell you that. And they do look really good. I'm gonna give them a big positive for how good of a system this is. There's not many other systems that are designed to look good side on. They're all front-facing, obviously vertical systems. This is the first horizontal integrated system. Again, I'm not saying that's a positive or a negative. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's designed for pickup trucks. There's a reason why it's horizontal in design. Whether that would work for you is, you know, a question for yourself, really. Another positive, though, is the latching mechanism. Now, again, this is a positive design change or something different, so I'll show you. Most toolboxes just latch in like one way, so it goes on the top and it'll click like that. However, the Maktrak system can latch left or right, so literally you can rotate the whole box and it will still latch on. So if you're walking from one side or the other side of the toolbox, you can connect these either way. Interesting. Whether or not that's a benefit, I'm not entirely sure. The handles are really stout. They've advertised these as you can unlatch your boxes with gloves on, which is pretty good. It's a center latch too, which is similar to the Tough Built system. They have one big wide latch in the middle. These compact cases, as they all do, even the Tough Built, they have to have little corner latches like that. So that's kind of pretty standard across the industry, really. Big center latch, though, is interesting. You know, we've got a bit of a grid in the top with the little holes there so you can screw and attach accessories. Now, none of these boxes are described as IP rated, which you expect to see, really. It's quite standard across toolbox systems that they'll have an IP rating, usually IP65 or sometimes higher. This box, though, I can't find an IP rating anywhere. It's described as water resistant, but not waterproof. I look at it and think this is your standard seal on the lid, so it would be an IP rating, but maybe it works different in the US. I'm not quite sure. And obviously, it's not in the UK or Europe yet, so there's no IP rating advertised, but it still does have that seal. So the next thing I quite like about the system is that the lid on the big box and on this XL chunky box here will open one of two ways. It can open, well, one of three ways it can open that way, which is kind of what you'd expect. Typical, it's got two latches, but it has the exact same latches on the back. So no matter which way you approach the box, you can open it in quite a nice way. You know, I've seen systems like this, like clam-shaped cases, flight cases in the past that have a similar mechanism, and sometimes you'll open it and it can fall off. The hinge mechanism doesn't function very well as a hinge and a latch, whereas I can safely tell you that this is a fantastic hinge latch. I really rate this. The only thing I'd say is they've got a lot of time and effort making a hinge latch, making a lid that's accessible both ways, and they've really achieved a great version of it, but is it necessary?
Was that really necessary?
Is that really a feature that you're like, oh, I'm dying for a toolbox that I can open either way? To me, it's a bit of a great version of it, and you've done a great job. Did it need it? I don't know. I don't really think so. It's got a steel wire as well holding the lid so it doesn't fall back. They talk about how you can open all the boxes with all the boxes attached above. But the scale of these boxes and how much stuff you can put them in, it's gonna be a heck of a lot of weight. It's probably gonna tip over. That's probably something we can test in a future video. And like I say, we're gonna do some proper full-on tests with these systems. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Inside the box, you've got lift-out trays. They're nice trays, I have to say. They have nice little supports and they sit really well. They fit nice and flush. They've got these molly dividers as well. So that's the two ways. The third way of opening the lid is you undo both sets of latches, and then the whole top lifts off. And then the reinforcing wires, they also can pop out, and the whole lid comes off in its entirety. Now, in terms of how efficient that lid comes off and how solid it is and how good the mechanism is, I rate it really highly. I think it's fantastic. Even these cables, they remove really nicely. They feel like they attach really well. The whole thing falls apart for me though when you think, does it need that? Is that a feature that it really needs? It's kind of like having the most amazing cup holder on flipping jackhammer. Did it need it? It's bouncing the tea everywhere, but it's the best cup holder ever. It's really well thought out, it's really well designed, but no one's ever putting a cup on the top of a jackhammer, are they? So it just feels a little bit hopeless to me in terms of the amount of effort they've gone to on the latching mechanism. Another positive is the heavy duty wheels. They're 9-inch wheels. That's pretty big in terms of toolbox wheels. Like the biggest you get really is 10 inches. This is wider than a normal wheel though, and it's rubber, and they are solid. So, you know, fair play for that. They've also got this little bit of a foot, so you can stand up. The single box, the single rolling box will stand on its own. That's only positive for the rolling box though, and I'll leave it there because we will get back to that later. Another positive is the big chunky handles. The boxes are big, they are heavy, you can fit a lot of stuff in them, and with a lot of stuff comes a lot of weight, so you would expect them to have big chunky handles, but they're not just on the side. You've got a big handle on both sides of the boxes, so that's great. And the unlatching mechanism is a single point, so it's like one hand release. I say one hand release, one hand to undo the mechanism, and then you've kind of got to give it a bit of a bang to unlatch it. But you know, some systems you have to have 2 latches and stuff, so it's in the good side of things. It's not fantastic. I do much prefer the tough built positive lock. Things click into place, you've got a visual indicator. I don't think anything really beats that. The pack out system too seems to kind of release a little bit easier than this, but the fact that it's 1 point unlatch is a positive. Also, all of these boxes have got locking points and they're all reinforced, so it's basically a steel ring on all the locking points. And then I suppose the biggest feature is the sheer capacity of them. If you've got big tools and you're looking for a big toolbox, there's not much bigger. There are other options that are a similar size. The Milwaukee Pack Out have got a big rolling box. The DeWalt DXL, we'll do a full comparison matching these up properly, but this is the biggest, I can tell you that. Especially this box on the top here. There's nothing on the market like this. There are similar ones with wheels on, but it's a beastly old thing. This XL box here, Milwaukee have got a similar size box, but again, the whole system in itself is built to be big, boxy, and take big stuff. So, you know, if you're looking for something like that, that's a positive. This is ticking those boxes. In terms of negatives though, we've got a bit to get into. Starting with this box here, I'd say it's like the Milwaukee XL. It's similar, it's got the same latching mechanism, so it can mount on the top. However, this one has got a little bit of a bonus feature, and that is that it's got this little inset here that mirrors up to this little holder on the side. And this box is designed to mount on the side of the main one and sit there above the handle. Now, in the pictures, in the press release, this looked fantastic. Very interesting idea that they're trying to give you a really low profile toolbox with the maximum amount of capacity, but in reality, this box is held on by a little bit of a plastic moulding. It feels like the latch you have when you put 2 bits of a sofa together or 2 bits of a divan bed. You've got like a, you know, positive and a negative. They just latch on. It's not really designed to hold any weight or anything. It's just there to hold the 2 pieces together. Well, this is designed to hold weight, and you can see it's not sitting on anything. Obviously, with a bit of weight in it, it's going to stretch that box down. It's going to sit on the handle, but the whole thing is just... It could have been so much better. There could have been a much better way. Like if you think about the pack out system, and if you want to mount those on a wall, they clip on. You could have the similar mechanism on the side. This just feels a little bit of an afterthought. It's a little bit like, oh, you know, imagine if you put that box on the handle, well, how could we attach it? And they've literally done the simplest means of attachment. It doesn't clip, it's no positive like connection there where it clips into place. We are getting into the negative now. This brings me to probably the biggest bone of contention for me, really, and it is this handle. It is really janky. The whole principle of it being horizontal is where it kind of falls down in my eyes. And that is because this handle here, it slides out and it doesn't lock. So when you're moving it and when you're rolling it about, when you're trying to attach this toolbox, this handle is forever like sliding back in and then sliding back out. It locks in, doesn't lock out, and it's all bouncing around the place. It is just a nightmare. To show you the problems with the handle though, I think we'll lift it off the table, get it on the floor, and I can wheel it around a bit. Right, so I'll show you the handle. It's a retractable handle, it slides in, and when it's in there, it kind of like locks in a little bit. Not a huge amount, but it's locked in. It doesn't stow away. The other models of Toolbox, similar to this, the handle goes in flush and it doesn't protrude out. So, you know, that's a little bit of a negative, but not majorly. It's not terrible. There's a couple of things I think would have improved this for me. I don't understand why they didn't bring this gecko grip a bit further. They literally brought that foot out another inch. Right now, you can see when you lie it on the floor, the handle falls down, which is okay, so that sits onto the floor, but it then doesn't support this toolbox. When this toolbox is kind of hanging off there, rather than kind of just having this an extra inch higher and holding it square, the whole thing pulls away and it's straining that plastic connection. And you can see the whole thing just looks janky. Why wouldn't you just prop that up an extra inch, and then that's going to hold it square, it's going to sit, and it's going to look like much more solid, it's going to last a lot longer, and it stops it looking like that. Just the whole thing is just like the handle sliding in and out, it's off the floor, this thing's like hanging on for dear life. It just looks weird, doesn't it? So that's a bit of a flaw, I would say. I think they could have improved that. I mean, obviously we've talked about how they could have improved that latching mechanism anyway, but it would have felt more solid if this handle was more solid. The handle in itself has got this element of play in it, which I would understand if it kind of came out, wobbled forward, and then fell back and locked in place. That handle, to me, if it locked in place, would be so much better. It would just feel so much more quality. The handle would lock in. These gecko grips, by the way, are to lean it onto the back of a pickup. So if you use this table as an example, you can lean the handle on it and it won't slip off, which means you can lift up this handle and then slide it into the pickup bed, which is fantastic. What a great idea. Such a simple design, the gecko grip, and it's effective. But if you're gonna start moving it to a site, which you're probably gonna do, you're gonna maybe pull it behind you, you might stand it up for a second. The handle's kind of like falling down and kind of getting your fingers trapped here. And it's just a bit weak, really. It could have been better, in my opinion. I like it again. I mean, it still looks great, even when you're leaning it on the pickup like that. If you've got a nice pickup, that's a nice toolbox to get out. Full of tools, it's going to weigh an absolute ton. But for now, I can tell you, it's heavy already. It is heavy. We'll put the weight on the screen of the system empty. That is not a light toolbox.
Too heavy.
This box alone could fit a lot of weight of tools on, and it's all hanging off of a small plastic latch. And it doesn't stop there. I think the design of a horizontal toolbox is also flawed in the fact that if you fill this with tools, even with a divider, you're going to lay everything out neatly. Maybe you put some things in a tray. You're going to put some hand tools there, maybe a tool bag. The bottom one you're going to fill with tools. Now typically with a normal toolbox, it's leaning over maybe 10-15 degrees because it's standing, it's a vertical stack, you roll it, it doesn't go that far. Look at this thing. To start rolling, you're nearly at 45 degrees. And if you're like navigating terrain, you know what it's like, you need to just pinch in, there's someone there, you're gonna go up to about here. Everything is gonna go crashing down to the bottom. You know, you can improve that with a shadow foam insert, but still, standing it up was part of their design because they've got those feet there. Obviously, all your tools have just gone crashing to the bottom, but also it doesn't actually stand because you can see, even with empty boxes on, I've got one box, the top box, if I let go, it's falling. We've only got 3 here. There's 4 other boxes that come in the 7-piece set. It needed some sort of fold down leg here or something to just stop it standing. I mean, if I'm wheeling this onto a job, I'd want the ability to just stand it up for a minute, talk to somebody, lean on it. It's like that perfect height where you can think, I've got all my tools, you're leaning on it, and then you can carry on moving along the job. But you walk away from it, and it's gone. And there you go, that was even latched on. It's literally the way the latch mechanism works, it's come flying off the box, and it's just not ideal. The handle's gone flying down, and as you can see, it looks great, but it's disappointing. There's a few things need improving. I don't know how they're gonna improve them. And also, maybe I'm seeing it in the wrong light. Obviously, it's not designed for the UK market. It's designed for a much heavier duty US pickups in a US market. And maybe in the US it's used in a different way, but they're my thoughts on it. That is the roundup of the review. It's a bit of a showstopper in terms of the other toolboxes that are on the market. Just being in a bright teal colour makes it stand out in a market that's dominated by black plain toolboxes, but the negatives are quite significant in my eyes. It seems to me it would be a very frustrating system to use for the reasons I've highlighted. Let me know in the comments though what you think of this system. Have you used it? We do have shadow foam inserts available for the full Maktrak system. All 7 boxes that are currently released have shadow foam inserts. You can get those from shadowfoam.com in all 10 colours, including a nice bright teal that matches the Maktrak system. So head over to shadowfoam.com, get yourself some Maktrak inserts if you've got this box and you want to improve all your tools fall into the bottom. So here's a perfect example of where you might want a shadow foam insert. This is the slim organizer, and as you can see, it comes with a load of totes, but they're all a little bit loosey-goosey in here. I didn't list it as a negative because you can easily upgrade it to shadow foam. These are designed to slot perfectly inside every one of the Maktrak cases. We've got inserts for every single one, and you can organise all your tools perfectly in there, and with the clear lids, you can see all your tools and you know everything's there, nothing's gone missing. So that's the inserts. You can get them at shadowfoam.com in any colours, inserts for all the major power tool cases, including the full Maktrak system. And as I said, this is the first wave of Maktraks. There are more boxes and accessories coming for this system. Now, as soon as they're available, of course, we're going to get them over here. We're going to have a look at them and see if they impact this system, see if they improve it possibly. There are rumours of some drawers coming as well, so that's quite exciting to see. So I'm quite hopeful that maybe they'll fix some of these problems. And as always, we bring you the latest toolbox news on this channel. So whatever they do, we're sure to know about it first and we'll let you guys know. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much for watching this video. If you liked it, drop a like, let us know, and then we'll know to keep these videos coming. We've definitely got more Maktrak videos coming, so don't worry about that. And we'll see you in the next one.